I'm a 34-year-old guy, and I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. My wife is 31. In high school, my wife was a popular girl stereotype. Pink, blonde, chunky highlights in her brown hair. This was the mid-late 2000s. She was on the cheerleading team, had lots of friends and boyfriends, was well-known and liked. She was basically the living embodiment of the picture-perfect girl from those cheesy 2000s high school movies. And then she got pregnant. When she was 15, she had her daughter. She doesn't know who the father is, and any potential fathers for the girl up and left way back when. Her daughter is recently 16. I never wanted kids. I found them annoying. But I fell in love with my wife and got married when she was 20 and I was 23 after dating for 2 years. We hit it off, and I married her and decided to suck it up around the kid. I never planned to absolutely love being a dad to her specifically. Kids still annoy me, but my daughter, stepdaughter technically, was different. She was quiet, nerdy, even at a young age. I married her mother when she was 5, and we clicked right away. We went on daddy-daughter dates every weekend. I played dolls with her, let her paint my nails and do makeup on me. I drove her to and from school in my cop car. We even did daddy-daughter duo costumes for Halloween. Over the past 2 years, she's developed a darker dress style. I don't know what the proper subculture of her outfits is, but according to her, she's dressing like a horror game protagonist and a Monster High character. Purple is her main color she incorporates into this specific aesthetic blend, as she calls it. I don't get it, but maybe that's because I'm a man in my 30s, I don't know. She likes ghosts, tarot cards, vampires, zombies, aliens, creepy Victorian dolls. I don't get it, but also I don't care because if it makes her happy, so what? She's also an introvert and prefers to play games on her computer or read fantasy occult novels rather than hang out with other teens her age. She has friends, so I'm not too worried about her being completely withdrawn. I'm just glad I don't have to drive her around since she only has a learner's permit currently. My wife hates this. My wife always wanted a girly girl. Pinks and pastels and flowers and all that. She wants our daughter to get a boyfriend, be more social, be a cheerleader like she was, which in itself is valid. I get it. I'm sure most every parent has preferences for what they want their kid to turn out like, and some disappointment when they stray from that fantasy is valid. Some. My wife will constantly take and hide my daughter's darker room decor. She constantly gets pastel dresses for our daughter, tells her to wipe off her dark eye makeup, tries to set her up on dates with jock types from my daughter's school, and convince her to sign up for both school and summer activities like cheerleading or volleyball. I could have put up with all of that. I really could have. But a few weeks ago, I woke up to my wife finally hitting her breaking point. I woke up in the middle of the night to my wife screaming and having what I can confidently describe as a borderline meltdown. She was crying and saying all she ever wanted was a normal daughter who likes pink and is a cheerleader and has a boyfriend and will give her grandkids. I had to drag her out of the hallway after 30 minutes of this. I kept thinking it would stop, but it kept going on and on. My daughter was just staring at this whole thing in the doorway of her room. What caused this meltdown from my wife? My daughter dyed purple over the blonde streak/highlights my wife had forced her to get in her hair, which wasn't even breaking a house rule, as my wife and I have both told her she can do whatever she wants with her hair as long as she doesn't stain too many towels. It's been weeks, and my daughter won't talk to her mom. My wife is still up with her antics, but now it's in overdrive. Every day she brings home some type of trendy clothing in pink or pastels and tries to give it to my daughter. My daughter is getting fed up and stays in her room all day and has confessed to me she can't wait for school to start back up in a few weeks so she can get out of the house and be with her friends again. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to side with anyone in this situation. I understand my wife wants a daughter who she can relate to, and my daughter wants a mom who understands her. I don't know what I can or should do. I need help. I need advice. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your wife needs therapy. Your wife needs to understand that your daughter is a human being and not a doll. She has her own wants and needs. And if your wife keeps this behavior up, your daughter isn't going to have a relationship with her mother as an adult. Tell your wife to read "I'm Glad My Mom Died" and ask her if that's what she wants for her daughter, because that's how she's acting. Not the physical abuse, but the mental abuse. When you treat a child like a prop meant to fulfill some role in service of your own goals in life, eventually the child is going to have a come-to-Jesus moment and just cut mom off. You have a big problem on your hands because your wife is literally not seeing your daughter as a person separate from herself. This is narcissistic behavior. Healthy, adjusted people understand their role in their children's life is to teach, support, and care for them, whoever they become. People like your wife think a child is an accessory. Also, side with your kid. Are you serious? Your daughter needs to know she is free to be whoever she wants. It isn't up to her mother to dictate her life, and you need to put your damn foot down and support your daughter. Comment 2. I don't want to side with anyone in this situation. Whether you wanted to be or not, you are this girl's dad, and as such, you have a duty to protect her from all harm, including emotional harm caused by her mother. That means you have to choose a side, and it has to be your daughter's side. Your wife cares more about not getting the daughter she wanted than she cares about loving the daughter she has. In fact, she's deliberately harming the daughter she has because she refuses to accept who she is. Your wife is 100% in the wrong here, and she's honestly acting like an emotionally hurtful psycho and is doing permanent harm to your daughter that will take her years of therapy to heal from if she lives long enough to escape her mother and get therapy. Kids who aren't accepted by their parents for who they are fairly high risk for taking their own lives. She needs you to advocate for and protect her. Your wife's disappointment that her child isn't the clone she hoped for is her own nonsense to deal with in therapy, which she desperately needs. Now for the update. A couple weeks after the last incident, the drama at home kept getting worse. It's like a soap opera every day, just without the hot actors. My stepdaughter, who's 16, won't come out of her room for family dinners. It's so bad that I set up the dining table myself, and I can hear her in her room with her creepy snacks, like those weird Halloween gummies. I don't even know where she buys that stuff. My wife, on the other hand, is trying her best to reconnect with her. We all know how that's going. She insists on having family game nights every Friday. I mean, I get it. She wants to bond and fix things, but it's like trying to fix a broken vase with glue. It just doesn't work. So on one of those Fridays, I set up some board games in the living room. I tried to create a lively atmosphere, like I was the host of a cooking show, but with no food and less excitement. My stepdaughter reluctantly joined. But get this, she brought her dark-themed game with her. Can you believe that? My wife was not having it. She suggested playing a classic family game, but my stepdaughter refused and things got heated. Like I thought the temperature in the house was actually rising. My stepdaughter stormed off to her room, slamming the door so hard I thought it would come off the hinges. My wife yelled after her about being ungrateful. The whole neighborhood probably heard that one. After that, my wife decided to have a girls' night out with her friends. She practically ran out the door, heels clicking, leaving me and my stepdaughter at home. I tried to make the best of it, so we watched a horror movie together. At least we were bonding, right? We both heard the front door slam later that night. It was my wife coming back home. She barged in, clearly upset, and confronted my stepdaughter about her choice of movies. My stepdaughter snapped back, defending her interests and accusing her mom of not accepting her. Days passed with barely any interaction between them, just cold, stiff words when they had to talk. My wife would only say stuff like, "Pass the milk," or "good night." I started to notice my wife's behavior changing. She spent more time out with friends. I swear, I was starting to think she had a second life we didn't know about. She started posting pictures of her outings on social media, showing off this carefree life she had without us. It was like a slap in the face, and she didn't even know it. One day, I found out she had been visiting this local bar a lot, often with a group of old high school friends. I overheard her talking to a friend about how much she misses the life she used to have before becoming a mom. I wanted to scream, but instead I just stood there, listening. My stepdaughter found the pictures on social media and felt betrayed. I mean, who wouldn't? She believed her mom was trying to escape their family. I get why she felt that way. I tried to talk to my wife about her late nights out, but she just brushed me off, like I was a fly on the wall. I tried to be understanding, but come on. The family's planned holiday trip came up and my stepdaughter refused to join. She said she couldn't stand being with her mom. My wife insisted on going, saying it was a chance for them to reconnect without the stress of home. I decided to stay home with my stepdaughter, thinking it was best for us both. The holiday went on without us. I got a text from my wife asking if we were okay. I didn't even know how to respond to that. When she came back home, she had this new attitude. She seemed energized but distant. It was like she was a different person. I found out that she had been sharing more about our issues on social media. My stepdaughter confronted her about oversharing our family drama online, and honestly, I was glad someone finally said something. My wife defended her actions, claiming she was just venting. That made my stepdaughter even more mad. The argument escalated, and my stepdaughter accused her mother of not caring about her feelings. Like, can you believe that? After all this, my stepdaughter decided to apply for a summer program away from home to escape the conflict. She got accepted into the program, but it meant she would be away for a month. My wife reacted negatively, saying it was a waste of time and money. That started another fight, and I honestly just stood there. Now, my stepdaughter is packing her bags for the summer program, and it's the most peaceful thing in this chaotic house. She's actually excited, which is a relief to see, but it sucks that she has to leave to get some peace. My wife is still sulking about it, and I just feel stuck between them. I tried talking to my wife about how we need to fix this before it gets worse, but she just shut me down. I get that she's going through it, but we can't keep ignoring this. I'm seriously thinking about going to the program with my stepdaughter, not to be a third wheel, but just to support her and get a break from this madness. It might be the best thing for both of us right now. I'm just so tired of this drama. Still processing. I'm still processing everything, so there might be more updates as I work through it. To answer a few questions, my stepdaughter's summer program is focused on creative writing and will be held at a college campus. She'll be living in a dorm, and she's really looking forward to meeting other kids who share her interests. My wife doesn't know yet, but I plan on visiting her frequently. I need to support her and also get a break from our home. My wife was upset when my stepdaughter applied for the program, as she felt it was unnecessary. I agree it was a bit expensive, but at this point, peace is worth the cost. Am I the idiot for telling my husband to grow up and do his share of the housework? Thank you for all of your comments. There are way too many of them for me to read all of them individually, but the consensus seems to be, very shortly, A, leave him, he'll never change. B, hire a cleaner. C, go on strike. D, talk about it and show him this post, a certain article, fair play. E, you're a woman, you should be his servant. Office work is not work, you're lazy. Now besides E, which wasn't one of the main opinions, but a handful of people seem to think that this is an appropriate take in 2024, I have taken all of these into consideration, and I also stumbled upon another opinion, which was F, he might have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, depression. Thinking about it, F might actually be the case. I am not sure yet how to approach it, but I want to get at the problem from that angle first. It would explain why it wasn't always like this. I have a hard time believing he suddenly turned into a traditional man who expects his wife to serve him. That's not who he is, and he is also actively against this when he sees it happening with other people, even going so far as to call it out. Depression or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder plus maybe burnout would each make more sense as to why he changed so much. In this case, no amount of strike on my side would change anything. At the same time, I will be looking into how much having a cleaner come weekly would cost. Thank you to whoever recommended the Sweepy app. My attention deficit hyperactivity disorder brain absolutely loves the gamification aspect of it. As to another common suggestion, buying a duplex or renting side-by-side apartments isn't an option right now. The housing market in our area is terrible. You can be happy if you find one apartment, let alone 2. I know some people here seem to be having trouble believing it, but in the area I live in, this is really the case. We don't have enough housing. Landlords can be as picky as they want. Finding another apartment in a halfway decent distance, which is not full of mold, would take about 1.5 years. Thank you to everyone who had kind words and advice. I will be asking the mods to close the comments, as it is getting too much. My husband, 27-year-old male, and I, 26-year-old female, have been having issues with the division of housework for a while now. We have been together for about 4 years, married for half a year. He promises to do better, he does for a week, then it's back to relying on me to remind him and to pick up his slack. This has been going on for over 1 year now, ever since we moved into a bigger apartment. We both work full-time jobs, while his is more physically taxing, mine is more mentally taxing. We agreed that a 40-60 him-me split would be fair, because I can do some tasks easily during my lunch breaks and home office. However, it always ends up being more of a 20-80, and I feel like I am constantly cleaning up after him. The apartment is never fully clean, I just can't catch up. I spend so much time picking up after him, it's exhausting. When I complain about this, I am accused of nagging. Now he has been on a business trip for a total of 2 weeks, coming back the coming weekend. And I don't want him to. I was even happy when he told me his boss prolonged his trip because that gave me more time to get on top of the household tasks. It's so clean and neat. No empty energy drink cans around, no smelly dishes that stand around for days unless I put them away. There is actually an end to housework. Not the usual, there is more, but I am exhausted. It smells fresh, I feel calm, it's so quiet. I actually have had the energy to try out new recipes and go for walks and stuff. I feel great. Don't get me wrong, I love him, but recently that feeling has been buried by my exhaustion over the whole cleaning situation. My thoughts on our relationship are that he is a good boyfriend, but a terrible roommate, which makes him a not-so-great husband. Definitely doesn't feel like a partner right now, because a partner is supposed to be a support and not an additional burden. I just don't know what to do with this realization. Has anyone been there and has any solution that isn't breaking up or moving out? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Breakup. I would start reflecting your attitude with bills by his attitude to chores. Straight relationships are a trap because women and men split the bills 50-50, but rarely is childcare and chores split that way. Your husband is a burden, and a willing one, who knows how much work he is adding to your life, and refuses to simply just do his part. And most likely, the only advice you will get in order to have him do his part is for you to walk on eggshells praising him while swallowing your resentment that you have to praise a grown man like a child who is doing you some immense favor rather than him doing the bare minimum of cleaning up after himself. Get a man who respects you and loves you. This man does neither. Comment 2. You are 26. Get out of this while you are still young. Think of how happy you would be coming home to a clean apartment every single day. He knows what the issue is and he knows that it bothers you. He has not made any real effort or changes because he does not care. Honestly, why should he? You keep cleaning, so no real consequences for him. Start making a plan and then get out. When does your lease end? Make a plan around that. Have one last talk with him about it, and that's it. If he makes changes, great. And if he doesn't, your plan is already in place. I know you have been socialized to believe that you have to deal with this, but you don't. A clean home is a basic requirement, and you deserve it. Good luck. Now for the update. 2 days after my last post, I had a long chat with my husband about housework while he was home for the weekend. I made a simple dinner, and we sat at the kitchen table to talk. I started by saying how much I liked the clean apartment during his trip. He seemed surprised and said he thought I was just being dramatic. I showed him the app I was using to track chores and how it clearly showed the imbalance. He dismissed the app as unimportant and said it wasn't a big deal. I explained that it was a big deal to me and brought up the idea of professional help. He got defensive and accused me of not believing he could change. The conversation got heated, and he left the table frustrated, saying I was making him feel like a terrible partner I decided to give him space and went to my favorite coffee shop to clear my head. At the coffee shop, I unexpectedly ran into my neighbor, who asked how things were going with my husband. I mentioned the ongoing housework issues in the app, which led to a deeper conversation. My neighbor shared how they had similar issues and ended up hiring a cleaner. Later that week, my husband had a work event, and I decided to invite my sister over for dinner. During dinner, my sister casually mentioned that she noticed I seemed more relaxed lately. I told her about the cleaner idea, and she supported it fully. My husband returned home late that night, and I mentioned wanting to discuss hiring a cleaner. He seemed annoyed and said that we could manage it ourselves. The next day, I called a few cleaning services to get quotes. I found one that was affordable and scheduled a trial clean for the following week. I mentioned this to my husband, and he rolled his eyes, saying it was unnecessary. A few days later, we went to my parents' anniversary dinner together. During dinner, my dad joked about how he and my mom shared all their chores equally. My husband laughed, but quickly changed the subject, avoiding it altogether. After dinner, my mom pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I told her about our struggles with housework, and she listened closely. My mom suggested I talk to my husband again and be more direct about my needs. I decided to take her advice and planned to have a serious talk once more. The weekend of the trial clean arrived, and I was excited to see the results. I prepped the apartment, making sure everything was ready for the cleaner. My husband was out for the day, so I could focus on getting things ready. When the cleaner arrived, I felt a sense of relief as she started working. After she left, I was thrilled with how clean the apartment looked. I took pictures and sent them to my husband, hoping to impress him. He came home later and seemed indifferent to the cleaning results. I confronted him about his lack of enthusiasm, and he said he didn't want to rely on someone else. I pushed back, explaining that it was about balance, not dependence. Tensions rose, and he stormed out, saying he needed time to think. Edit. 2 weeks later, my husband and I had a long talk. He confessed he felt insecure about not doing enough. We agreed on a revised chore split and committed to weekly check-ins. We're still using the cleaner bi-weekly, and it's been a game changer. Progress is slow, but we're working on it together. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay for my husband's house upgrades and repairs when I already cover all the bills? My husband, 53-year-old male, and I, 44-year-old female, have been married for 3 years, together for 5. When we got married, I sold my house, just broke even after realtor fees because I'd only owned it 3 years, and moved into his house that he owns, free and clear. We did sign a prenup before getting married, very simple, and just agreeing that real estate assets, financial assets, and debts before marriage stay that way in the event of divorce. I suppose we didn't have a thorough enough discussion about household contribution expectations, though. I was of the understanding that I'd move in and we'd just split the household expenses and carry on. Wrong. He expected that I would move in and start paying all the bills because I'm saving money, not having a mortgage. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything because he doesn't have a mortgage either, which I bring up every time we have this discussion. Doesn't compute with me at all. Because I still had to close on my house and pay some final bills there after I moved in with him, I didn't start paying anything at his house until my house matters were all final. So his unilateral financial decision about bills didn't come to a head until several months afterward. Anyway, I complied to avoid any argument, and I transferred the bills into my name and started paying them. That's all been fine for the last few years. I work full-time in a professional position. I pay the utilities, trash, internet, combined car insurance, cable TV, combined cell phones, about half of the groceries, the property taxes, they're low. All of that is still less than my mortgage and bills were. So I do come out ahead if you compare past to present. I believe this is an irrelevant comparison, though. We kind of split entertainment and eating out, but I do believe I pay more there than he usually does. I also cook, clean, and do some outdoor chores like gardening, weeding, cleaning the pool, and I've mowed the lawn once. Haha. My husband is retired and gets a little retirement income of about $2,000 each month. He spends it around the property on upgrades and repairs, on groceries, gas, some of our entertainment, and lots of stupid, in my opinion, stuff for himself, entertainment and shopping. He does some cooking, cleaning, and the majority of the outdoor chores. We have children from previous marriages, but they're grown and gone. We still have separate bank accounts and finances. The bills are all in my name though, besides the property taxes, so I just pay them each month like I did when I was by myself. So here's the problem. It has come up a couple of times recently that he wants me to pay for half of any house upgrades/repairs, like rotten siding, HVAC cleaning, a new toilet, minor roof repair, paint, materials to repair a water leak, basically anything you'd buy at the hardware store. He thinks I should pay for half of. He does the repairs himself, so there's no labor costs. I told him I really don't think it's any of my responsibility to pay for upgrades to a house I have no financial interest in or claim to. To me, paying all the bills frees up his income to then pay for any upgrades he wants to do. This relationship goes sideways, and I just have to walk away with nothing except the household goods I came with and maybe some furniture and appliances I bought over the last 3 years, you know? He says everyone has to pay the same bills in life, and he doesn't understand why I always bring that up when he asks me to pay for other stuff with the house. In his mind, those bills don't count because everyone has them. He even called me a gold digger, and he wasn't looking in the mirror when he said it. He's genuinely upset that I don't want to contribute to house repairs. I feel like I already contribute way more than my fair share. I believe we should be splitting all the bills, and he should still pay for house upgrades until I've earned a spot in the will. He says things are going to change or I can just leave. I really do fail to see things from his perspective. How should I respond when he brings this up again? This whole thing is so bizarre and Twilight Zone to me. Now for an update. Thank you for all the comments. I did need to know from outside my bubble if not wanting to funnel more money into his kid's inheritance property was me being unreasonable and a gold digger somehow, or if it was wildly okay to be so over this money-grubbing situation. I took him and his truck off my auto policy and my cell phone plan today. I canceled my recurring payment for his property taxes, and I downloaded Zillow again for a little house hunting. I'll update again when I have more progress to report. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No. You are paying all the bills already, which is nonsense. Tell him if he thinks things should be split equally, then they need to be split equally across the board. If he won't budge, I would start planning an exit. Does he even like you? Springing on you that the bills were your responsibility and calling you a gold digger. That's not okay. Comment 2. Why are you letting him mooch off of you and letting him call you a gold digger? His property is appreciating while you only have growing bills to pay. You respond with a no. Unless I am on the deed, it's a no. Personally, I think it's time to sit down and thoroughly discuss financial matters with him. Now for the update. It's been just over 2 days since the whole thing with my husband blew up. I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling super overwhelmed. Just scrolling through rental listings for homes in my area has me feeling like I need a vacation already. It's just a lot, you know? I thought he'd take the whole getting removed from my plans thing seriously, but nope. He's been acting like nothing's changed and still expects me to cover the same expenses as before. Seriously? Come on. I spent like hours on Zillow, just trying to find a couple of homes that looked even remotely promising. I finally found some that didn't look like they were about to fall apart the minute you walked in, so I scheduled a few viewings for the weekend. I'm really hoping to make a decision soon. In the middle of all this searching, he called me up, acting all confused about the bills. Like, dude, really? I told him about my plans to move, and he just laughed. He actually thought I wouldn't go through with it. Like, that reaction just made me even more determined to find a new place. So today I visited one of the rental properties. A really friendly real estate agent showed me around. The place had this cozy little kitchen and a small backyard that I could totally picture myself enjoying in the mornings with a cup of coffee. Just peaceful and quiet, you know? That evening, he casually mentioned needing to discuss our finances. He suggested we meet at a local diner to talk things over, saying he wanted to clear the air or whatever. I reluctantly agreed, thinking that maybe it'd help us work things out. At the diner, he ordered a burger while I went with a salad. I was just trying to focus on my plans and not get sucked back into his drama. He immediately started bringing up all these old grievances about my contributions to the household. It was like, can't we just have one conversation where you don't drag up every single thing from the past? The whole thing escalated when he accused me of being ungrateful for everything he's done. I calmly pointed out that I handle most of the bills and chores around the house, but he just dismissed my claims like they were nothing. At that moment, the waitress brought our food, and the atmosphere was just thick with tension. Then he demanded that I pay for his meal, claiming it was only fair since I was planning to move out. Are you kidding me? I left a tip and just walked out without waiting for him to finish. Honestly, I didn't even care. The next day, I got this letter in the mail from his attorney, and it just shocked me. The letter outlined a demand for me to cover more shared expenses, citing our prenup. Like, are you serious right now? My brother called to check in on me, and I mentioned the letter. He seemed really surprised, which just added to my feeling of being completely blindsided. We met for coffee, and he suggested that I could stay with him if things got worse. I really appreciate that, but I'm honestly just trying to keep things chill for now. That evening, I returned home, and my husband was waiting at the house, looking all upset. He mentioned needing to talk again, but I interrupted him, saying I was done discussing money. He snapped back, accusing me of running away from our problems. Like, seriously? The argument just escalated from there, with him throwing all these accusations about my intentions. I packed a few essentials and told him I needed space to think clearly. He began to pace around, demanding that I stay and work it out, but I felt really resolute. I left for my brother's house. The next morning, I found a message on my phone from him demanding reconciliation. I didn't respond. My brother helped me look at more rental options, providing support. Honestly, I really needed that. He's been great through all this. I went to see a rental today, and I'm really hoping it works out. Just praying I can get away from all this drama. Edit. I took my husband's attorney's letter to my brother's lawyer. He confirmed it was invalid due to the prenup. I plan to respond, stating my intent to leave and refusal of extra expenses. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.